A few years ago, I was talking to Hyundai's vice president of marketing about a new car that the company was planning to introduce. He told me that they wanted to capture people who were looking to buy a used car a couple of years old, but would prefer to have something brand new with a warranty. A few years later, this guy emerged, the Hyundai Venue. This is Hyundai's least expensive crossover. It kind of takes over where the old Accent hatchback used to sit in the company's lineup. And with a starting price of around $17,000, $18,000, this is a really unique alternative to buying a few-year-old car, but brand new. The Venue sits below the Kona in Hyundai's lineup, and today I'm going to show you what it's all about. So let's check out what Hyundai has done styling-wise on their baby crossover. Now, a lot of Hyundai models have this split headlight design. We've got our main headlights here, we've got our indicators here. I think it looks really great on the Venue. I actually prefer the way this looks to the Kona above it. I think more people are gonna like the a little bit more toned down styling of this. Now, we have a great color. This blue is phenomenal. If I see another one of these cars in white or silver on the road, and I'm looking at you out there who keep buying white and silver cars and not this amazing blue, come on people, Hyundai offered you good colors. Please choose one of those. Now, we have this really interesting grille here. It almost looks like a chain mesh, sort of like a knight would wear, like a medieval knight. I really like how this grille looks. Gives this car a very nice appearance. Now, we've got the biggest wheels available on the Venue, a 17-incher. So again, you can't get huge wheels on this car. You can get them in a slightly different color if you opt for the denim edition. Yeah, there is a denim edition that also gets you a white two-tone roof. I think the denim is probably the one to go for on the Venue. It sits about the same as this SEL model that we have here. Now, back here, I really love how they've styled these taillights. It kind of has like a Z pattern in it. That's really cool. We've got some texture down here on the bumper. And my favorite part is just very simply, they've written out Venue here with white lettering, and I don't know what about it. Maybe it's just the white lettering on the blue background that looks so cool to me, but it just makes this car feel premium even at a budget price. So let's hop inside the Venue, where you'd expect an inexpensive entry-level model like this to feel cheap on the inside, but in a lot of ways the Venue kind of doesn't. Now, there are a lot of areas where Hyundai, they're just not going to be able to make this car feel premium because, of course, it's not premium. It's a very low-cost model. We've got some very hard touch plastics here on the door and on the dash as well, but what they have done is textured the dashboard with this sort of interesting finish. Makes it feel just a little bit more premium. The only areas that I think are really terrible on this car in terms of quality are the armrests, both here on the door and this one here in the center. They are hard as rocks, so I bang my elbows against these. I actually kind of prefer driving this car with my elbows in, just because resting them on either of these areas is a bit scratchy. I wish they would have gone for a little bit more padding here. But what they have done as part of an optional package is you get this really nice leather wrapped steering wheel and leather wrapped shifter. So those do feel really nice. And some of the other materials like the switches and dials, those do feel really nice at this price point. Now, we don't have much going on in the gauges, just big, nice round tack and speedometer with big numbers. I get into a lot of like high performance cars lately that have silly 200-mile-an-hour speedometers that you're never going to reach. This car only goes to 140, but what I really like about it is that the numbers you're actually going to use, 40, 45 miles an hour, are all the way at the top. So you can see the needle like very clearly and very concisely. It's nice to actually be able to see the speed you're going. I drive these 200-mile-an-hour sports cars, and 25 to 45 mile an hour is this little itty bitty part on the speedometer, and it's just really annoying to try and parse that and tell what speed you're going if you don't have like a digital readout or a head-up display. Now the area in the center, just a very basic black and white screen, although it does give you handy information on fuel economy, things like that. What I do love is this 8-inch standard touchscreen. This comes on all Venue models, including the base. It's got great color, very nice imaging. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay come standard. You get a very nice backup camera with moving trajectory. These are things that I haven't found on a lot of cars costing a whole lot more than the Venue, so I'm really impressed that Hyundai is able to offer this standard on a car of this price level. That is absolutely great. Great voice commands as well. I do really enjoy that. We have a nice storage area here in front of the shifter. Storage is usually pretty tough to come by on a small car like this, but with this storage here, we've got our armrest here that slides forward and little storage in there. We've got the glove box, of course, and I love this area here, sort of like how the RAV4 has just storage in front of the passenger. There are plenty of places to put items, even though this is a small cabin. Now, I will mention that even though we have the SEL, which is the top trim Venue, we had to add a couple of packages to get everything you see here, including the blind spot monitoring and things like that, push button start. We've got the convenience package. That's $1,150. That gets us a power sunroof, which usually that's about $1,000 on its own. We get the leather wrapped steering wheel and shift knob. We get this sliding armrest, and we get the blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert. Now, I don't really care that much about the sunroof or the sliding armrest, but blind spot monitoring is a must-have, I think, in 2020. So for $1,000, I'd probably get that. Then there's the premium package. So that's $1,750. We get LED headlights. We get heated front seats, which is crazy on a car like this. We get built-in navigation, which I don't really care that much about because of the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. We also get the push button start with keyless entry. That's actually really nice, and we get larger 17-inch wheels. So I think both of those packages are really well priced for what you get, but they do pull the Venue into a little bit expensive territory, at least for me. Now, this is a tiny car with a very short wheelbase, so you shouldn't expect your backseat passengers to have a huge amount of space. That being said, it's not terrible. I have a little over 34 inches of legroom here, which is not horrible by any stretch, but it's not great. Headroom is actually quite good. This car has a very tall, boxy shape. I even have a little cutout here, so it kind of just goes up right here, giving me a little bit more headroom. I wouldn't mind spending a little bit of time back here, but the ride is quite jarring when you're riding in the rear. Now, back here, just like the back seat space, the trunk space is not massive. You get about 18.7 cubic feet of space. You can fold down the rear seats, obviously using levers on the backs of the seat rests to open up to about 32 cubic feet. Not a massive amount of space, which is one of the reasons why you might want to consider stepping up to Hyundai's little larger subcompact crossover, the Kona. Now, but what they have done back here for a little bit more space is they've included this moving floor. You can pull this out and then slide it back, and now you're gonna have a lower load floor that isn't flush with the back seats, but it does open up just a little bit more space if you have taller items. So it's time to get Hyundai's smallest crossover, the Venue, out on the road, and this is an inexpensive car, so you're not going to expect to find like any engine options here. You only have one choice. It's a tiny 1.6 liter 4-cylinder engine, sends its power to the front wheels only. You can't get all-wheel drive through a continuously variable transmission, a CVT. You could get a 6-speed manual only on the base model for the 2020 model year, but for 2021, it's going to be a CVT only. Now, you might think I would complain about that. I love manual transmissions, and CVTs are usually not my favorite transmission, but this one is frankly excellent. It's so good, I actually thought this was an automatic when I first hopped into the car. I'm gonna give it a burst of acceleration now, and it kind of feels like it shifts gears sometimes. When you really floor it, when you really mat it, it's gonna feel a little CVT-ish, but I'm telling you, this will fool a lot of people. If you're just driving it normally, it does execute shifts quite well. I'm highly impressed with Hyundai and Kia's CVT gearboxes. They're simply astonishing. Now, the engine isn't too, remarkable to speak about. It only produces 121 horsepower and 113 pound-feet of torque. Now, those are really low numbers by today's standards. They're not super low, though. But what's excellent about this car is that Hyundai has kept the weight down so much. With the CVT optioned, this car only ranges from about 2,600 to 2,700 pounds. That's feather light. I mean, a Miata is only about 2,500 pounds. So for an SUV, that is frankly excellent, which is why the Venue only takes 8.8 seconds to hit 60 miles an hour, which, again, you're not going to win any races with 8.8 seconds to 60, but it's not 10 seconds. It's not like a Prius. That's the ability of a low weight car. And trust me, that low weight comes in handy in other places besides acceleration too. This thing is nimble, it's light, it's agile. I really enjoy the steering. It's pretty accurate. It's got way more feedback and feel to it than the Nissan Kicks, which is a competitor of this. I'm gonna chuck it into a corner now. Woohoo! I really like how this thing kind of handles through here. It definitely leans in quite a bit, but it's tossable. It's enjoyable. I really enjoy how this car drives. This is how a little tiny car is supposed to handle. It's honest. Bravo, Hyundai. This car really just gives me the giggles when I drive it. It's not fast by any respect, but it definitely doesn't feel devoid of any feedback or enthusiasm. Now I have a sport mode here that I can put it in. The only thing I really notice it doing is changing the CVT ratios, so now I can floor it a little easier. Up there we go. It felt like a little shift there. But the sport mode doesn't do too much else besides, although it does make the steering heavier as well. So now that I'm in the sport mode, I've got a little bit heavier steering here. Really makes it feel engaging now. Let's go ahead and floor it and see the acceleration. See, that felt like a shift to me. Wow. I swear this feels like an automatic when you really rev it. Now, it's not fast, but it's not bad at all. Now, this is a tiny little car with a short wheelbase. You're gonna feel road undulations. It's not the most comfortable car in the world, nor is it the most quiet car, but you gotta remember the price, you gotta remember the performance, and you gotta remember the fuel economy too. You're going to get 30 mpg in the city, 34 on the highway, about 32 combined. I'm averaging better than that. I'm averaging about 31 mpg since I've been driving this car, and that's with crazy acceleration like you just witnessed there. So I really love it. It's missing a few features, but again, it's the price point. It doesn't have adaptive cruise control, but it does have lane keep assist, really good lane keep assist that you can really feel keeping you in your lane, centered, blind spot monitoring, all that stuff. The Venue just feels like a very good alternative to like a couple-year-old Civic or Camry or Corolla. If you're going to buy one of those like a couple years old, I think you're going to be maybe better off in this. It's brand new car warranty. It drives really good. I think it looks adorable. I think overall, Hyundai has crafted a really nice package with the Venue. So that was the 2021 Hyundai Venue. Now, back in the 2020 model year, you could get the Venue with a manual transmission for a little over $17,000. Now, sadly, that trim has gone away, so you can only get this with a CVT starting at about $18,500. Now, this SEL trim that you're gonna see starts at over $19,000, but we've had to add two quite expensive trim levels packages to that, bringing the price to $22,000, and with Destination you're going to be about $23,000. Now I think the Venue is a very nice, affordable package. It's going to be a little bit too small for a lot of people, and those people are probably going to want to step up into a Kona. Now, if you can restrain yourself and you don't need all the features and you can keep the price of the Venue below the $20,000 mark, maybe just get one of those two packages, I think it is a really compelling option. It's just a little too expensive the way that Hyundai sent it to me. But I still think that this is a great alternative if you're looking to buy a Civic or Corolla or something like that from a couple years ago. You're going to get more tech and a better warranty with the Venue.
We really hope you've enjoyed our review of the 2021 Hyundai Venue, and for more reviews like it, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. We've also left a link in the description below to take you over to CarBuzz.com, where you can learn more about this car and any other vehicles you're shopping for. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time.